It was a sticky August night, the kind where the air clung to your skin like damp cotton, when Sarah Miller's world shattered. She stood barefoot on her front porch, the warped wooden boards creaking under her weight, staring at the empty spot where the stroller had been. The porch light flickered, casting jagged shadows across her face veil, hollowed out, with dark circles carved deep beneath her eyes. She hadn't slept properly in weeks, not since little Grace was born. The baby's soft coos still echoed in her ears, a phantom sound that made her arms ache with the memory of holding her. She'd only stepped inside for a moment, 30 seconds. Maybe Lesto grabbed a pacifier from the cluttered kitchen counter. Grace had been asleep, nestled in her stroller, swaddled in a lavender blanket her Aunt June had knitted. The blanket was still there, draped over the porch railing like a cruel taunt, but the stroller and Grace were gone. Sarah's breath hitched, her chest tightening as panic clawed its way up her throat. "James!" she screamed, her voice raw, splitting the humid silence. She stumbled down the steps, bare feet slapping against the dew-slick grass, scanning the yard as if Grace could have somehow rolled away on her own. "James, she's gone. She's gone." Her husband burst out of the house, shirtless, his hair a wild tangle from sleep. He froze mid-step, eyes darting to the empty porch, then to the street beyond. The front gate hung ajar, swaying slightly in the faint breeze, its latch undone. In the faint glow of a street lamp, a thin trail of tire marks glistened on the wet sidewalk, narrow, precise, like something a golf cart or a small utility vehicle might leave behind. "What the hell do you mean she's—" James started, but the words died as he saw it too. He grabbed Sarah as her legs buckled, her knees hitting the grass with a dull thud. His hands shook as he fumbled for his phone, dialing 911 with fingers that wouldn't steady. "A baby's been taken," he said into the receiver, his voice breaking. "No, not custody taken. A newborn. Our daughter. 214 Elm Street. Please hurry." The police arrived in under 15 minutes. Two officers, one older with a grizzled beard, the other young and jittery, their flashlights cutting through the dark. They swept the yard, knocked on neighbors' doors, and pulled grainy footage from a doorbell camera 3 houses down. Sarah and James sat on their sagging couch, clinging to each other in a silence that felt like drowning. Sarah's hands wouldn't stop trembling. James kept rubbing his face as if he could scrub the nightmare away. 2 hours later, the older officer detective Hargrove stepped back inside, his expression tight, uncomfortable. He held a tablet, scrolling through it with a grimace. "Mrs. Miller," he said, clearing his throat, "we've found your daughter." Sarah shot to her feet, dizzy with relief, clutching James's arm. "Where is she? Is she okay?" Hargrove shifted, avoiding her gaze. "She's safe. She's at a secure location. But this is going to sound insane." He tapped the screen, reading aloud. "Per an emergency asset hold filed by the Pine VYEW Homeowners Association, resident property at 214 Elm Street is under temporary lien enforcement due to unpaid dues. 6 assessments for written notices." Sarah blinked, her mind scrambling to catch up. "What are you talking about?" Hargrove sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "The HOA claims they seized the stroller because it was abandoned exterior property on a community-facing lot. They say it's within their enforcement rights. Your daughter, she was in it." The room tilted. James's grip on Sarah tightened, his voice low and dangerous. "They took our baby over HOA fees?" Hargrove nodded grimly. "They've got her at their admin office. Private security contractor picked her up. They're insisting it's not kidnapping, it's policy enforcement." Sarah's lips parted, but no sound came out. The HOA, those petty dictators who'd fined them due law 50 for a cracked flower pot, who'd sent a 3-page letter about their mailbox being insufficiently neutral, had stolen her child. Her VY sound blurred, and she sank back onto the couch, a cold, sharp rage blooming beneath her shock. James didn't sit. He paced, fists clenched, a vein pulsing in his neck. "Where's their office? I'm getting her back. Now." Hargrove held up a hand. "We're handling it. She's safe, I promise. But we need to sort this legally. You go storming in, it could complicate things." Sarah stared at him, her voice barely a whisper. They stole my daughter, and you're telling me to wait? The detective didn't answer, just looked away. Sarah and James weren't wealthy. They lived paycheck to paycheck in a modest two-bedroom house on Elm Street, a quiet cul-de-sac in Pine EW Estates. James worked construction, long hours under the sun that left him sunburned and bone-tired. Sarah picked up shifts at a daycare, her hands always smelling faintly of baby wipes and glue sticks. They'd bought the house 3 years ago, a fixer-upper they'd poured every spare dime into, dreaming of a stable life for Grace. The HOA had been a nuisance from the start. Fines for a weed-choked lawn they hadn't had time to mow, warnings about a basketball hoop violating aesthetic standards. They'd fallen behind on dues after Grace's birth. Hospital bills had eaten their SAVYNGS, and due law $300 a year to a group obsessed with paint swatches felt like a luxury they couldn't afford. But this was beyond petty. This was madness. At the police station, they waited in a sterile room that smelled of burnt coffee and bleach. Sarah sat hunched in a plastic chair, her arms wrapped around herself, rocking slightly as if she could still feel Grace against her chest. James stood by the window, staring at nothing, his jaw tight. A young Officer Rodriguez approached, his voice hushed. The HOA president's behind this. Patricia Voss. She's intense. Used to be a corporate lawyer, got disbarred a decade ago for embezzling client funds. Moved here, climbed the HOA ladder. She's got the board wrapped around her finger, rewrote the bylaws to give herself insane power. Sarah's head snapped up. Power to kidnap a baby? Rodriguez winced. She filed an emergency asset seizure claim. Says the stroller was unattended, so it was fair game. The baby being in it. She's calling it an oversight. An oversight? James growled, stepping closer. She took a child and thinks she can lawyer her way out of it. She believes she's untouchable, Rodriguez said. The HOA's been pulling stunts like this for months, confiscating grills, bikes, even a dog once. But this is next level. Sarah's hands curled into fists. Where's Grace now? With CPS, temporarily, Rodriguez said. We're working to get her back to you, but Voss is digging in. Claims it's all legal. That night, James didn't sleep. He sat at their chipped dining table, laptop glowing in the dark, digging into Patricia Voss. Public records painted a grim picture. A once-respected attorney who'd siphoned money from vulnerable clients, lost her license, and vanished into obscurity until she resurfaced in Pine EW. HOA meeting minutes showed her rise. First a treasurer, then president, pushing through draconian rules with a board too spineless to resist. She turned a neighborhood group into her personal fiefdom. But James found a crack. Pine EW HOA's state registration had lapsed 18 months ago. Without it, they had no legal authority. Every fine, every seizure, every bylaw was unenforceable. He called his cousin, Matt, a scrappy CIVYL rights lawyer who lived for underdog fights. Matt read the files over the phone, his silence heavy. This is a gold mine, he said finally. We hit them with everything: illegal seizure, child endangerment, fraud. I'll draft an injunction tonight. Sarah didn't wait for legal wheels to turn. She grabbed her phone, hands shaking, and recorded a video. No makeup, no filter, just her, raw and unpolished, sitting on the couch with Grace's blanket in her lap. My name's Sarah Miller, she said, voice trembling but firm. Last night, my HOA took my newborn daughter from our porch. They said it was because we owed due law $300 in dues. They called her property and took her without a word. She's 6 weeks old. Please, help us. She held up a photo of Grace, tiny and perfect, and the tears came despite her fight to hold them back. She posted it online: Facebook, TikTok, anywhere it might spread. By morning it had. The video exploded, shared by strangers who saw their own fears in Sarah's eyes. This could be my kid, one comment read. HOAs are out of control, said another. Within hours, the Pine EW HOA was trending. Screenshots of Voss's disbarment, the HOA's bizarre rules, and James's discovery about the lapsed registration flooded the internet. News outlets picked it up. HOA seizes infant in shocking power grab. Protesters gathered outside the Pine VY EU admin office, a squat building with peeling paint, chanting for Grace's return. The courtroom was a pressure cooker when the trial began 2 weeks later. Reporters lined the back wall, cameras rolling. The gallery overflowed with locals, some clutching signs reading "Justice for Grace." Sarah sat beside Matt, her hands clasped so tight her nails drew blood. James was next to her, staring at Patricia Voss like he could burn her down with his gaze. Voss stood at the defense table, representing herself, her silver hair pulled into a severe bun. She wore a tailored gray suit, her posture rigid, radiating defiance. The prosecutor laid out the case. An unregistered HOA had seized a stroller with a 6-week-old infant inside, held her for 19 hours without parental contact, all over unpaid dues. Voss didn't flinch. When her turn came, she spoke with icy precision. "Your Honor, the Pine VY EU HOA acted within its contractual authority. The Millers VY OLAT Multiple Covenant 6 unpaid assessments, documented neglect of community standards. The stroller was unattended property, per our bylaws. Its removal was a lawful enforcement action." Judge Carter, a wiry man with sharp eyes, leaned forward. "You're saying a baby is unattended property?" Voss lifted her chin. "The stroller was the target. The child's presence was incidental. We didn't intend." "Incidental?" The prosecutor interrupted, slamming a photo onto the tablia, blurry, still from a neighbor's camera, showing Grace's tiny face peeking from the stroller as it was towed away. She was VY Seibel. She was crying. "Your contractor ignored that." Voss faltered, then recovered. "The core issue is order. Without enforcement, communities crumble. The Millers were warned." "Enough," Judge Carter snapped. "A child isn't a lawnmower you confiscate for dues. You broke federal law: kidnapping, endangerment, unlawful detention. You don't get to hide behind a defunct HOA's rules." The gavel fell like a gunshot. Voss got 12 years, no parole. Her board cronies 3 nervous-looking retirees received probation and fines. The judge's words echoed. "This isn't about fees. It's about unchecked power turning into tyranny." The fallout was seismic. Pine VYEW HOA dissolved within days, its charter revoked by the city amid public outrage. New laws sprang up statewide, curbing HOA powers: no more seizures without court orders, no more fines without oversight. Sarah and James got Grace back the day after the abduction, but the scars lingered. They moved 6 months later to a rural house with no HOA, just open fields and a gravel road. Grace, now a toddler, loved chasing fireflies in their new yard. Sarah watched her one evening, the fading sun painting the sky orange, and felt a fragile peace settle in. James joined her, a letter in his hand, another from a stranger, this one with a child's drawing of a stroller and the words, "You're brave." He tucked it away, smiling faintly. "We didn't want this fight," he said. "No," Sarah agreed, her voice soft. "But we want it." And in that quiet VY Tory, they found something stronger than fear, a reason to keep going. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this VY Deo with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next VY Deo.